All right, my darlings, my beautifuls, my DTL speaker lady, let's do a catch up and find out where everybody is at. So we kind of got a feel of how everything is going as far as personally and things like that yesterday. As far as speaking, if you saw my little text this morning, I am going down through the speaker checklist and seeing each of those pieces and making sure you've got those things checked off. So the graduation will be the first week of February, where we do little, yay, hooray, hooray. But everything needs to be finished by the time we hit before the retreat. So I am part of that. Let me tell you how this is going to flow. We are going to do at the end, we're going to do interviews. So I do an exit interview with you to make sure that you've not only got all those pieces, because you're going to send that to me, but to just have this exit interview of how did this go for you? And then what's your next right step with this? So before that, we need to make sure that your speaking checklist is sent to me, and I need that this week. So I'll go through the homework and stuff at the end, so don't stress it, but I'm just giving you a heads up. As we go through it today, I'm going to need your speaking checklist as soon as possible. And we can go through and see if there's any pieces that you haven't sent me or that you still need to do or that you just kind of don't feel solid on. And we're going to talk about that for just a minute today. And then we're going to talk about the interviews. And then I'm going to give you some tips and ideas on getting the gigs. So let's go through the speaker checklist just really quick all together. Raise your hand if you have a copy of it in front of you. Okay, then that's just fine. Let me just hit the speaker checklist that I've got right here on my own thing. And darn, sorry. I always have like 6,000 tabs. So apparently it doesn't like that. So let me just get out of these tabs. Picky. If you do your checklist, just go ahead and click on it and do your thing. All right, let me share screen. Okay. Can everyone see that? Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to go down and you guys stop me if there's one that you're like, I do not feel comfortable with this, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, or I didn't send it to you, or whatever. If you have any questions, pause me on it, because I'm just going to scoot through this. Okay. Complete the speaking plan. I'm assuming everybody has done the speaking plan, right? That was the very first thing that we did. To create your Keystone keynote, that's what we've been working on. If you don't have your actual Keystone keynote, tell me now. Does anybody need to finish their Keystone keynote? Okay, so Katrina.
So I kind of just feel like, even though, I mean, I've completed, I've done a couple keynotes, it's just like always a work in progress. I don't know. I just feel like there's always something else that I need to do. Yes. So like, how do you know when you completed it? Because it just never feels like it's perfect.
Yes,
right?
It can feel like a painting and it's never done, right? When I interviewed Kirk Richards, he's like, yeah, I've got paintings that people actually bought, and I look at that and I think I should finish that. So just so you know, all this is, not all, but what this is your core keynote. So it's just a basic keynote that you can give, and then you can adjust as you desire. So it's going to have 3 basic concepts that you're teaching. It better talk about how to be emotionally resilient, grounded in scripture, right? And the ways that you're going to help them do that. And then you're going to throw in those stories of how you've worked with clients, because that establishes credibility, to help them do that very thing. And then you're giving them the tips and tools as they go through an action step. Maybe you're having them work through something, a problem, and saying, how can you get emotionally grounded through a scripture story or something with that problem that your anxiety or ADHD or depression or whatever. That's what your core keynote, this Keystone keynote that you want it to be. Now for Katrina and for Raylene, they're doing DTLA. So your guys' keynote will be that one of those, the purpose one or the create a life plan or one of those, unless you're feeling like, oh, I'm not really resonating with that. And we can talk about that in DTLA as well. But I want to make sure that you have a solid Keystone keynote that you feel like, these are my 3 principles. If I'm going to go speak to someone, I know my hook, I know the 3 principles I'm teaching, and I know how to do a call to action and then close it all up. So I
probably want to work on mine some more. I probably want to go back through and
Okay, let's
I
come
don't know.
back to the Keystone
Okay.
Keynote because it sounds like it may be something everybody wants to refresh on or do something with. So let's come back to that. In fact, I made a note for next week, the 2 things that I wanted to work on, but I think maybe would you like me to go more in depth with that Keystone Keynote next week? Or do you want to talk more about it today?
I almost feel like what would be most helpful for me is I just need to sit and work. Like I just need to make myself sit down and go through it. I understand the, you know, how to do it. I think it's just for me taking the time to just taking the time to sit down and refine it. I think that's kind of where I am.
I agree. I don't know that I need like more information about it. I feel like we talk about this all the time. It's more just like I've got my points, but I haven't been able to sit down and actually decide, okay, what is my most powerful story? What is my second most powerful story? How do I weave those in? That kind of thing. And I will say I'm working on 2 of them really because I have my Deliberate Family one and my DTLA one. I feel like the DTLA one is way more solid now than my Deliberate Family one. But my Deliberate Family one, I know the outline, but like I said, the stories and where they fit in and where I want them to fit in is where I just need to spend time. Like it's just been a matter of time thing for me.
I'm kind of in the same place. Yeah. Figuring out the story, which one. Yeah. All of those. Just I think kind of the refining stuff for it.
Love. Let's do that. Then let's make that what we work on this week. And when we come back next week, because the final things that we're going to need to do for you to certify is you're going to need to send me your completed videos of teaching your keynote, right? And I've got a couple of ideas on that. So what I need to be able to see you do, if we scroll down this, oh, wait, are you coming? Oh, okay, sorry. I was like, wait, how come Diane's coming back in again? She's here. Oh, sorry, at a moment. So if you look down here and you see speaking tech and timing and slides, and then offer from stage, those are 2 important pieces that I need to see that you can do on a video. So I'm going to have you do just a 5-minute video where you're doing your close, your hook and your close. Those 2 are the most important things, your hook and your close. And then a 5-minute video, any section that you want to do in your keynote, but you're sitting and you're doing slides, okay? You can stand and do slides if you want to too. We're not gonna be able to really simulate you being on stage except for speaker in a day. So don't stress that. I just need to know that if you're doing something that you can go like this and then you can stop share and then you can go back and talk and then you can go back to share screen and you can feel like, I know what I'm doing because I'm talking and I'm still clicking buttons all the time that I'm talking and that pops right back up. You see what I'm saying? I want to make sure that you are able to feel really confident with that. It doesn't mean that you're like perfect at it. It just means that you're confident at it. So that's what we're going to end up recording. So if you can do your keynote and finesse and do all the final things on that this week, then next week, be prepared to do your 5-minute and 5-minute recording. The week after that, you will send your final 20-minute completion video. This is your keynote video. Okay, that will be due. I'll get actual dates for you, but let me just say, okay, so for the 12th, you'll have the 5-minute videos. And then on the 19th, the week of the 19th, you're going to send me your final keynote. That's the 20 minutes. And that's where I'll give you more information on this, but just a heads up. So opens a file drawer. You're going to go hook, your first principle, third principle, call to action, close, so that it shortens everything so that you're not having to do this full-on 50-minute keynote. You're going to start right in with your opening, your hook, and then that first principle, and you'll teach one thing underneath that, and then you'll do your third principle that would lead into your call to action, and then your closing. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So just kind of keep that in mind so that you're preparing for that mentally. Okay. All right, so any other thoughts on the Keystone Keynote or anything that you need? There's modules and all the things, but are any questions, anything else? Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If I'm not comfortable, like I The only time I've spoken with a slideshow was at that retreat. So I've never taught like over Zoom and had to switch screens. Like I'm a baby when it comes to the tech. So is that something that I should train with Elmira with, or who should I go more to for that?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yes, you can watch the module if you need to watch the module. And if you want to practice, then you could definitely set a time with Lamira, and you can schedule that with her. Or if you want to, you could go into her tier 1 office hours and just give her a heads up, and you could go on the office hours that she has and you could do it there.
Okay.
Whatever's going to work best. Okay, awesome. And does anybody else need practice with that? Do we need to practice that next week? I mean, is there more than one person that needs practice with doing that? Okay, awesome. All right, so film the keynote, we did that. And then your 5 P's of performance, does everyone feel good about those pieces and knowing what they are and then practicing those? Any questions on 5 P's of performance?
I feel pretty confident with those things. Like, what do you need us to do to be able to be like, it's checked off? Like, is it just as part of our like video?
I will be evaluating you on your Keystone keynote. So the thing that I need you to be able to check off on that is, I feel confident using these things. Again, this is not perfection, you guys. This is your B+. This is, I know how to pause. I know about pitch. I know about telling a story and using modulation, right? We've had lots of practice with that. You see that every week. So I just want to make sure in the DTLC when we're speaking or teaching or people are doing that. So if you're like, oh, I'm still not feeling really good about that, or I'm still like kind of stressed about how to do pitch or posture or polish or whatever, then let me know right now. And we can touch on that. Again, we can touch on that in teaching today or next week, whatever's good. Anybody have any of the 5 P's that you're concerned about or feel like you need a little something more? Okay, awesome. So again, check that off. If you're like, I've watched the module, I've practiced it, I'm doing the best that I can with it. I feel comfortable with these 5 P's and I know I need to do them and I'm working on doing them. Okay, tech timing and slides, we just talked about that. The speaking bio, does everybody have a speaking bio now that they're comfortable with? That's so beautiful. Kate Reline, if you want, why don't you schedule an appointment with me and let's go through just circle the ones. This is what I'm having everyone do today that you're going to send me by this weekend. You're going to send me a picture of the speaking checklist, and you're going to check off all the ones that you have checked off, and you're going to circle the ones that you are not feeling confident in or that you don't have done. Okay. And that's where we can do an appointment. You can schedule a coaching call with me and we can, excuse me, sorry, protein shake, but we can go through those pieces that you feel a little bit shaky on or like need a little more solidity, and we can go through those individually. So no stress, but just circle that one and go, okay, I need a little bit more help with that. Because the bio, if you want to, Raylene, in the next day or two, if you want to work up a bio, the most recent version that you have, send it to me, then I'll give you tips and tools and I can send it back. Would that work?
Yeah. So I guess my biggest tug of war right now is the DTLA and, the other. And so, I don't know, I guess most recently, and even today before this call, I was like really thinking about it and stuff. And I just keep feeling like I just need to focus in on DTLA and the rest will come later, that it's like whatever it is that's coming isn't here yet with that other. And so I just keep focusing like I, need to do DTLA. So I don't know, I guess I'm kind of in limbo that way because, do I anyway, I am so tired today and my words are not coming out. But anyway, so I've never written just a DTLA bio or or just focused on that. And even with like the website and everything in my speaker one sheet, it's all everything else with like the addiction and abuse and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I'm just trying to decide, do I need a separate one? Do I need to merge the two? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just still trying to figure out how to be in both worlds.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we kind of talked about this a little while ago, and I was suggesting, if it felt right for you, to do DTLA, just focus on that. And then you put a hint of that fingerprint in your bio of your focus or your outreach, or you work a lot, or you work with moms who are dealing with blah, blah, blah. So you're helping women find and fulfill their purpose. And then you're helping them to see, this is how I fulfill my purpose, is helping moms who have kids who are dealing with addiction. So again, send me whatever versions you have of your bios, both of them or whatever, send them to me, and we can help you make into one solid one. That it isn't, the whole thing with DTLA is you're not just being I'm just talking about whatever Connie's talking about. You're saying, I'm helping women to find their purpose and share their message more effectively as a speaker, writer, and media presence for him. And this is the way that I share my message, or these are the people that I specifically reach out to in my particular purpose. That makes sense? So send them to me and we can figure out how to squeeze it into that one for now, until you actually go to conferences that you feel like, I'm speaking just to the moms of addiction. And then it kind of switches. You're speaking a lot about the addiction thing, how to deal with it. And then you're putting in the hint of DTLA. You know, I learned how to do this and be able to share this effectively at working with the DTLC or working as a DTLA. And if that's something you're interested in, you can let me know and you tell them about the retreat. Awesome. Any other questions on bios? Remember, your bio, it needs to be something that would be your personality in it. It's professional, but also personality. So like on my website, I talk about, you know, like I have 7 kids and I do this and I do that, but I don't do it all, not every day, and not without chocolate, right? Something that's got this like a little something that says, this isn't a cookie cutter. Somebody didn't sit down and just write this for her and put it out en masse, right? Something in your bio that helps people feel like, at the end of my bio, I put something about enjoying being with my family and eating decadent treats. And it cracks me up that almost every time they read that, there's like a ripple of laughter in the audience. I'm like, they know what the word decadent means. Yay. Not that people aren't smart. It's just like, you know, that's kind of a little bit lesser used word. And so it thrills me that they get that. And then they get something about me, that I use the words like decadent and that this is me, right? So something to keep in mind, just write that bio with a little bit of flair, a little bit of fun, a little bit of whatever. And you can go however more with that you want. There's people who are very, like a Ty Bennett is just kind of very straight up corporate. That's the way he writes it. But Jason Hewlett and a Clint Pulver's more in the middle, that kind of fun millennial feel. And a Jason Hewlett is just more kind of like down to earth and enjoyable. If you look at the ones that are written by women, you've got the spunky, sparky kind of a feel, I'm connecting with you. And then you've got ones that are very much, I'm credible, I'm strong, I'm going to help you be able to overcome your things. So in your bio, don't hesitate to say that. You know, I can help you. Katrina has helped families, hundreds of families, be able to get grounded in the gospel and stay close to Christ and still be able to get the dishes done. You know, something like that. Not if that doesn't resonate with you, Katrina. So you've got your bio. It's awesome. All right.
No, I like that. I'm like, ooh, how do I put that in? But do we just need to send you a final bio?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
And I will have this listed, but I need your final bio, not just on your speaker sheet, your final bio. And you want a short version and a long version. So short version is usually maybe 2 sentences max, maybe 3 sometimes, but just like 1 to 3 sentences, but the shorter, the better. And the more important information in that first sentence, because a lot of times they have to cut stuff off because of a program or they don't have room. So keep it in the most important stuff in that first sentence, and then anything ancillary that's still important in the second sentence and then third sentence. And I wouldn't go any more than that. I mean, you can, I'm just saying I wouldn't, because then they can go to your long bio and they can get them more information. So
sorry, would you say the short or the long, or just a whole different thing is on your speaking one sheet? On
the speaker one sheet, it's kind of a middle. Okay, so you have your little short one, and then you've got a long one in case people really want the long one. But even in my long one, you know, that's like maybe 3 paragraphs or something like that. On a speaker one sheet, you want kind of a middle of the road. So maybe 5 or 6 sentences, but again, engaging, pop words, really thinking about, you're having a discovery call with the conference planner. And that's what that bio, if it feels like that, would be really great. Like you're really talking to them and saying, she does this, and she's going to help your audience be able to do this, and she's going to be able to have this outcome happen with what you're doing. It's going to be fantastic. Now, if you want to emphasize just the credibility thing, that's fine too. You can do a regular bio. You don't have to have it be all lights and, you know, sparklers or whatever. You can still just have one that's very, very credible. She's worked with these people. She's worked with, done these kinds of things. These are the results that she's gotten, blah, 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 blah. So it's your personality. Be branded. Because if you're all spunky in your bio and then you get up and speak and you're super serious and credible, that's going to be annoying to them because they're going to feel like it's a bait and switch. So again, you want to have a little personality, but your personality. So people don't have a problem with serious if you're really good at what you're teaching. So does that make sense? All right. And I would just start with maybe your, whatever's the easiest to start with, but you could start with your long and then just clip it or reverse, start with the short. What's the most important things, and then flesh out priority number 2, then priority number 3, then priority number 4, and then add in something fun and personal so that they can see you like a person. Your favorite snack or something that, another thing that's great in a bio is something that people wouldn't necessarily know about you. So like if, you know, for me, I'm a closet hip hop dancer and nobody would know that. And that's intentional. So, you know, something that people wouldn't know and they go, what? You know what I'm saying? Like she secretly does karaoke every Friday night or something like that, right? So add in a little human part that people can feel like, oh, I like her. Like she's fun. All right, speaker one sheet. I definitely need your speaker one sheet. Go ahead and send me your final. And if you want this week, go ahead and send me your pre-final so that we can make any last suggestions on it. So that by the end of this speaking certification, the whole idea behind this, I probably should have said this at the very beginning, but I've said it before, is that you are stage and speaking gig ready. You know how to get the gig, you know how to get the research and say, I know I've got 5 places that I can send this to. You know the email that you can send, you know how to send it and follow up. You know that you can get on stage, you can rock your keynote, and then you know how to follow up with them after. And you can say, hey, I love this experience. Thank you so much. If you loved it too, please send me a testimonial. That would be so wonderful. And keep me in mind. I have lots of other topics I would love to share with you, blah, blah, blah. So this is the idea. From start to finish, you know how to be a speaker and do a speaking gig, whether it's on TV, whether it's on stage, whatever it might be, or a coaching call. So I know that's a lot to, you know, expect in 12 weeks, but it's, again, that you've opened the file drawer and you feel like a B pluser. It's not, you're going to be doing this for years. I've been doing this almost 30 years and I'm still learning, still practicing, still making this better. So you're just being that B plus ready, if that makes sense. Okay, after that, make sure that there's some kind of a CRM module that you have. And even if method, even if it's just a Google Doc with a chart that you home make a table, that's fine. But just make sure you have that, because when you do that, you guys, what you're saying to Heavenly Father is, I'm open. I'm open. I've got a space. I've made the space. So I'm ready for a speaking gig. So I encourage you to make sure that you do that. So you would check that one. And then getting the gigs, that's where I encourage you to have those modules on it of how to research your particular topic and then be able to send the email out. We have a template for an email. If you want to go over that, does anybody want to go over that? Oh, I should have asked on the speaker one sheet and the CRM. Any questions on that? Okay, sweet.
So a CRM, I mean, just for keeping track of speaking events, is that what you're saying? Because I like, you know, Kajabi has like all my client, like my custom, like people who subscribe to emails and stuff, but you was just saying something totally different.
I'm just saying, keep a record of your speaking gigs, because what you want to do is a year later, you're going to want to reach out to them. If they ask you to speak, you're going to want to reach out to them maybe in 6 months or 9 months, and they're going to be planning their conference again. If they contacted you and said, we would love to have you speak, that generally means around that time is when they're planning for their conference, their next conference, right?
Okay. Yes.
And a lot of conferences will actually, once the conference is done, they're already starting to plan the next one, sort of like Girls Camp. So you want to have a way to track it. The contact person, and the module says all this, but you want to have the contact person, the conference, the venue, the contact person, the topic you spoke on, the number of attendees, and all of that is helpful if you ever decide to get any kind of certification with NSA. it's CSP or there's like CPAA something or whatever. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them. But if you ever want to do that, that's the information they need. They need to know the number of attendees, where it was, the contact person. They need to know, what year it was, what month, day, all of those things. So it's just good for you to not only reach back out to these people to see if they want you to speak again, but it's also good if you ever want to do certifications.
Okay, the gigs, now, did we do maybe I just missed it on the Get the Gigs one. Did we do a session
Yes.
we did it? Okay, so I just maybe just need to go back. I don't
Yep,
remember
we have a
anything about the
module.
speaking fee schedule or anything. So, okay,
Yep.
I'll just go back to
Nope.
that module.
And if you want, just reach out to Lamira. I can also do the same thing. Let me just put a little note down. But it's all in, it would be really horrendous on the WhatsApp for her to go through and just put all the module things that's what the member vault's for. But if you just go under in the member vault and you go under Get the Gigs, you'll see the modules under there. We have a module on helping you to know how to research and how to use the SEO and things like that, and being able to go on and make your own list of conferences to reach out to. And the goal for this is that you would identify 5 to 10 places that you could speak. Conferences, organizations, whatever that looked like for you, but 5 to 10 of them that you could identify and say, these are people that I could send an email to or a text or whatever. If it's someone that you know, those are the people that you would want to reach out to. And right now, like I have this gal who is helping us, and she just researched, I had her research 50 places for me to go and potentially speak. So that's a really important thing, is for you to identify where you can speak, send the email. We have the template email, send that email so that it can be working for you. Because remember what Amanda said, what you do now, the seeds you plant now is the yield you're going to have in 90 days. So if we're not planting seeds right now, we're not really going to have a yield in 90 days. So while you're working on your keynote and things like that, that's why the Get the Gigs is a really important piece for you to send out an email. Once you know what your topic is and you have your speaker one sheet, then you send that out and you let them know I'm ready to speak. And then you keep finessing your keynote in the meantime, because you're not going to probably have a gig for another at least 2 or 3 months, right? So you have time to really finesse that. So you definitely want to know your topics, and you definitely want to have an outline of it, because you want to give them your outcomes. And that's what you put on that speaker one sheet. But get the gig, try to get the gigs first, and then finesse it and get ready for that particular gig, fleshing out that Keystone keynote to adjust it to that audience. Awesome. And then we did a speaking challenge, which was submit to one event, one person, online TV, radio, podcast, interview, whatever. And that's actually making that happen. So you get your stuff ready for the Get the Gigs, you get your email ready, your speaker one sheet, and then you actually send it out. And that's the challenge. Is in the speaking, in this track, my encouragement to you and the goal for you is to have a speaking gig. And again, you can reach out to Studio Chatter. I'm doing Studio Chatter tonight. I reached out to them like a week and a half ago, and I said, hey, I'm just curious if you want to hear more about Speaker in a Day, blah, blah, blah. And then because of that, she was like, hey, we'd love to have you back on Studio Chatter. January, you'd be perfect for blah, blah, blah. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So again, top of mind, if you're thinking about your particular topic, think about conferences that may be happening, or seasonally, how this is helpful. Starting back another semester, Diane, kids are going to be hitting the ground running, and there's going to be all the issues with homework and emotions and all that. It's already happened at our house, changing schedules, and it's been stress. And they told me I needed this and they didn't tell me I needed that. And I'm like, oh, it begins. So anyway, it's a good time to connect with those parents. All right, and then the next one is, does anyone have questions on the speaking challenge? Just submitting to get one speaking gig. And it could be anything. Could be, I'm going to speak for my ward, or I'm going to speak for the stake, or I'm going to do whatever. Relene, it could be just part of your calling that you're like, I had to give this talk, right? Hey, sacrament talks count, but they don't, not really. So I'm just sorry, because, it's not you reaching out and saying, hey, I could speak on that, and I would love to share that. So maybe there's a class in your Belief Society that you're thinking, I could teach that class. That's how I got started, you guys. I started teaching classes on helping women to be able to do this kind of stuff, find their purpose, be able to get balanced and let go of things that blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was starting with the formerly known as homemaking night. So it's good. All right, speak on the spot. And that's learning how to adjust for those various situations. So I'm taking information, but I am whittling it down and making it sound bitey for studio chatter. A lot of that, you don't have to change too much. You just have to stop being super wordy. You've got to really hit the moment, hit the story, and hit the point that you're making and let it speak for itself. But we have modules on all of these things, so no stress, but just want to make sure, are there any questions on that? Or does anybody feel like, I don't really need that right now because I don't have anything there yet, but I do know and understand what you're talking about and what I need to do in order to do that? Are you at that place that you feel like, I got it, I know what you're saying, and I just haven't needed to use it yet?
I would say that's where I am at.
Okay, awesome. Then the other one that I was concerned about, the tech, timing, and slides was a concern I had for everybody to make sure that you were solid. So Raylene, this is perfect. We can get together on that. The offer from stage. How are you guys feeling about creating, making sure you have your opt-in created and then being able to share it on stage very easily, smoothly, and not stressed like I'm trying to sell something? How are you guys feeling about offer from stage? Good. Sweet. Wonderful. Okay, so offer from stage, it can be a little bit tricky, especially if you are actually selling something from stage. So I would encourage you, if you come to that place, just rewatch that module. Remember, you want to do it at the 2/3 mark, not at the end, at the very end. At the end, you want to spend that third really bookending what you've talked about and sharing the outcomes and success stories of what it is that you're doing to remind them this works, you guys. So if you're kind of on the fence, I encourage you to take the next right step, right? And that's where you give them that incentive. So if you give that 2/3, then you spend the rest of that time on the outcomes, on the success of what you're sharing with them today, and what a blessing it is that they've received this information, and now you're inviting them to act on it, whatever way sounds right to them. And that's where you kind of end with that. So you're not just at the very, very last, people are kind of braced for it. So you don't want to end the very last thing with that call to action. Does that make sense?
So
Okay.
for that one, do we, it'll just be part of our keynote when
That's
you,
going to be part of that, the 5-minute keynote. I'm going to have you do your hook and your call to action. And so I'll be able to see, you don't need to make it linear, right? You're just going to share that hook, that exciting 5-minute hook or whatever. And then you're going to share that last 2/3 where you're going to, maybe you'll share that little bit of that story that goes into your call to action. Like if I'm sharing about the retreat and saying, you know, Wendy Jones started here, curled up on my couch, and then she ended up being able to do blah, 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 because she used this principle. So then I'm going to share that principle, that third principle that will be really nailing the 3 things that I've shared of why they want to use this stuff to actually get the outcomes they're looking for. And then I'm going to go into that call to action and say, if you're looking for additional help, or if you want to practice these principles, or if you feel like you're not quite sure how to do this, or you want some more help with that, I actually have a discovery call that you could call and check in. Or if I was doing a course, I actually have a course for that. So if you want to check out the course, you can. Actually, for everybody participating today, you get a 20% off code. Here's the code. Just if you want it, just if you feel like it's going to be helpful for you, I would love to help you nail these principles so that you can actually get the results in your life. And then you would go on to, I know that these work. When I was working with Wendy Jones, I practiced this with her. She went through the how to speak. She's certified for speaking. She knew she needed to be a speaker. And then she ended up speaking 24 times in 1 year, because that's the principles. That's the power of these principles. That's how well they can work. Do you see what I mean? So I'm focusing on that outcome, that experience. And then I would just wrap it up with either a quote or another story and say, there's another gal I worked with and she did blah, 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 blah. And now she's being able to do X, Y, Z. And then nail it with a quote or some other stat or something like that. And then you can kind of go into your closing. Again, whenever you're speaking and sharing this stuff, you guys, I know a lot of times the women say to me, and I felt it too, is just, oh, I just don't want to feel like I'm being salesy, or I don't want to feel like I'm being like dun, 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 like cookie cutter, right? Just keep focusing on the outcomes that you're going to have. Sweet Diane texted today about the excitement she has about Speaker in a Day and how she just loves to help women learn these things, right? Focus on that. Focus on that. That's the Savior. It was for the joy that the atonement was going to bring that he was able to even make it through that experience, even as a God. So focus on the joy that you're going to bring these people, how they're going to feel after you help them through knowing how to deal with their son's addiction, being able to help them know their value and their worth. Drew said that, how are they going to be different? How are they going to feel? When you focus on that, before you speak or when you're doing your keynote and writing out your keynote, you're going to find yourself. I just get giddy even just right now, just goosebumps when I think about helping women to step into their best and higher self, doing what we do. Oh, it just makes me giddy. But if I'm not focusing on that, I'm getting stressed. I'm getting fearful. I'm thinking, I don't know if this is going to work. Like we've got to try to make it all kind of sidewinder. No, we don't. We just be bold in the outcomes that we know that we can help them. And if you're not bold in the outcomes, that means you're not sure they're actually going to work. And I would go back and rework what it is you're sharing, because what you share should work. What you share, if they use it, which is what we want them to do, then the results, that's the results that they should get. And it will be different in a different level for everyone, depending on their application. But you know what I'm saying? Those principles should work. Okay, so then once you've done that checklist this week, send it to me. Check off the ones you know you feel really good about. Like, yes, I'm at least at a B+ level on this. And I feel like if I was called to speak, if someone said, I'm ready, I want you to come and speak at our conference, I could do this. I could do this. Even if it's not super perfect, I could do it. That's where we want you to be. So send that to me this week. Any questions or thoughts or anything on that?
Well, I'm feeling okay, and I'll send it to you and send you the things that I have in place. But I just wanted to I get to practice next week. So I'm like, anyway, I have a relief society that reached out to me in England that I'm speaking to next week, next Thursday, right after speaking track next Thursday. So I've been like, okay, how do I put all this together? And like, how do and really, I feel like it's a speaker on the spot thing where I have to take my keynote and then I get to transfer, like kind of put a little bit different twist on it with like the same principles, but specifically for this topic that they are looking for. And anyway, so but I feel like I'm like nervous, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, but I've got this. So it's okay. You know what I mean? So anyway.
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, can we all just give her a love? And Jerusha, I just saw him here. You're going to speak for your Relief Society? What? When are you speaking, Jerusha?
I think it's the 3rd week of this month, but I'm waiting to hear.
You guys, this is so awesome. Seriously, that's like I said, this is exactly where I started. And then that led to speaking in stake women conferences. And then that's all that I basically do. I mean, I spoke for my ward, like a couple months ago because it's our ward. Like, of course I'm going to speak for my ward. But I'm just saying that it just one thing led to another. And then after I was doing the stake women, then I was doing education week. And then after education week, I was doing blah, 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 blah. So it's so good. I love that. And you know what, Katrina, I love that you brought up, it's scary, it's exciting and scared, like Into the Woods, right? It's exciting and scary, but it gives you a reason to do your keynote. It gives you a reason to actually do the thing you want to do. It gives you the deadline, the meaningful deadline. And that is so interesting and so fabulous and so inspiring. I know, England. I'm just so excited. I'm so jelly because that's my homeland. That is my place. So yeah, if they need someone to speak on purpose, just let them know I'm super available. Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. Well, and it really is like this little tiny ward in England. And she's like, we are a relief society that I think she just saw me on Instagram and she's followed me for a little bit. And then she was like, would you want to speak to our ward? Our sisters are super excited. And she's like, we only have 20 sisters in our relief society. Like it's tiny, tiny, tiny. And she's like, but we are struggling a lot with sisters who have long-term trials and they're not going to be solved in the short term. And how do they keep on going and how they keep moving forward? And anyway, and so I'm excited about it. And I've just been pondering and thinking. And then I was like, you know what? My keystone actually really does like fit super, super well with this. I just need to like put the pieces together. So anyway, prayers my way would be appreciated.
It's going to be so great. And it's all because it's on Zoom, right? Have you thought about, I would encourage you, now this is just my little thoughts to encourage you, right? If you're going to do slides, remember when you do slides, come back when you're telling the personal story. So hit the topic or the point and the principle on the slide and then go off as fast as you can and just get back to you. And then I would encourage you to create a really inviting vignette on the background. So do you have something like that yet?
No.
So it is a thought. Okay, it's just a thought, you guys. But these screens, like $50 on clearance, and I got 2 of them, and they've been the biggest help to me. I can't even express. And I am going to be changing out my vignette and things like that. But for now, I mean, I've been doing this on the fly for 2 years, right? I mean, literally, like I really should be doing this right, and it's just been on the fly. I just threw some stuff back here, but it's working and it's fine. So I encourage you, either get a screen or a blank wall, 2 lamps, and either like a soft, nothing kind of a picture. You know, I have always had that white picture that says she created the life she loved in gold, but you can't really read it. You can't really see it, but it's just something in the back, right? But some kind of a sharp vignette that just establishes I'm a speaker. That would be a really helpful thing, even if it's just for the 20 women, and we don't want to intimidate them, right? But there is this credibility feel if you have a vignette. Like this is a warm, cozy vignette. It's not even like super uber professional in my mind. But I'll go on and people go, oh, you've got a studio. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. It's in my office. And I turned it to the corner so I can get some good lighting. So anyway.
Where did you get your screens, Connie?
I secretly wanted.
Yeah.
At first I thought
No,
you were
we all
going to go
wanna
to
go.
England. But when you said next week, I was like, oh yeah, well, she's not stressed about traveling out of town. So it's Zoom.
Yeah.
I got these was it at home? I think in Provo. I think it was at home in Provo. And again, they were on sale, like clearance. But you can get them on Amazon if you just look up screens, because there's a whole bunch of different ones, and then they'll just ship right to your door. So anyway, something to consider. I really think, and again, like you wouldn't even have to change up what you're doing there, Katrina. You just stick that screen in front and have a plant and then maybe a lamp or something. I mean, it'd be super slick, but anyway, that's a suggestion.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? So this week, send your speaker checklist so we can see where you are. Schedule a call if you need more help on any of those points. And then next week, and then this week, work on your Keystone keynote. And next week, it should be done. It should be done and ready for you to speak. And then that way, send it to me anytime you want this week if you have any questions or anything like that. But just know when we get together next week, it should be ready. So before that, send me any questions you may have. And please don't do it the night before. I promise I will not see it. And it's not mean. I just don't, I clock off and then I clock on. And so just know. So send me your keynote and then be ready with that keynote. Then after that, you're going to be filming. So if you want to think about a place in your house where you could do a cute little vignette or something like that, because you will be speaking on Zoom, ladies. So may as well get it ready now and prepare for that path so that the Lord can say, oh, she's got her vignette ready. I guess she's ready to speak. Yes, you are. How are you feeling? Are you feeling excited? Excited and scared? You guys, that's exactly how it should feel. I am scared. There are places that I am emailing as far as for speaking, and I'm like, I don't even know that I have that cool of a keynote yet, right? I have my keynote that I speak to women at Education Week, and I feel really good about that. But oh my gosh, if I'm going for these really professional moral and ethical leadership and purpose-driven leadership, and oh my gosh, now I got to actually fit into my dresses, right? That for being on stage. So I'm thinking of all these things and it makes me scared. But then I know if I don't do it, I'll never do it because there's so many other things that need to be done. I won't prepare for that opportunity. So something important to consider. Okay, very last, speaker in a day. Anybody here, are you interested in being a part of speaker in a day? It's February 25th and it's 9 to 3. Anybody want to be involved? Okay, Diane and Katrina. Okay, the roles, we will talk about speaker in a day then at another time. And Raylene, yay! Oh, and Jerusha, we love you. You'll be with us in spirit, truly. So the roles that we'll have there, generally speaking, that's so cute, yes. Generally speaking, we'll have people who could actually even speak on stage. So you're gonna submit an application to speak on stage once you're certified, right? So start thinking what you'd wanna speak on. I will show you next week. In fact, let me put that for next week, show the speaker in a day topics. But I can guarantee it's going to be pieces of the keynote. So if you just think about pieces of a keynote and say, ooh, which of those do I feel really good about? Hook, close, principles, fleshing it out with stories and ideas and things like that, whatever it might be. that's what we're going to have coaching tables, and we definitely want coaches at the table. So you may speak from stage. There only is 1 or 2 spots for speaking on stage. It's going to be so tight because we're teaching them a lot, but there'll be a lot for speaking, coaching at the tables. And then we also, I can tell you, this is so exciting. So we have interns from BYU Marriott Business School that have signed on. I'm so excited. I did this probably 5-6 years ago when I did Back to Basics, and we had interns and I ran the intern team. So we have 5 interns. I'm so excited. And she's pretty darn sure that they can help us with Speaker in a Day. So we will have lots of good, juicy help. And they'll be watching you guys to learn from you guys. So that's awesome as well. So anyway, I will give you more on the specifics of that, but just that's opening the file drawer, potentially speaking, definitely coaching, and then actually helping with women registration, helping people feel welcome, and showing maybe these interns kind of working alongside them, helping them know what we do. Okay, that sound like a plan? Okay, so for Lamira, just for her to know, this week's homework is send your speaking checklist, and if you could put the link in, Lamira, and then schedule a call if you need, and then send me your Keystone Keynote by email. Don't put it in the WhatsApp. Go ahead and send it in the email this time. And then for next week, we're going to talk about preparing to video your Keystone Keynote and going through your Keystone Keynote to make sure that you've got all those pieces. And then we'll go through roles of Speaker in a Day. And then I'm also going to talk about offer from stage and a couple of the things that tips that I'd really like you guys to have. Are there any other areas that you are feeling like I need tips or tools with in speaking and that we may not have necessarily covered, or that you'd like to have additional tips on?
Certification, because I don't think obviously I'm gonna customize my keynote to the Relief Society, but if that falls through or whatever, I don't think I'm gonna be having the option to record it necessarily. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, but I don't want to give that exact talk on like a Facebook Live or something. I mean, what do I need to do to certify?
Just have someone film it for 20 minutes. Just have someone set up your little phone and just film it, and just let the Relief Society president know, I'm not going to share this. I'm just doing this for my certification.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're not having to reinvent the wheel. Same thing with your England one, the Zoom, just record it. And then you can just send me 20 minutes of that recording, or I can watch the first 20 minutes of your recording, or I can skip just to the very end and just get your call to action thing. So that sound like a plan? Then you guys don't have to reinvent the wheel. I hate that. And yes, it's Saturday, February 25th from 9 to 3. Awesome. So as far as exit interviews, so we are going to be doing exit interviews on the 19th. So we have Sweet Lisa and Sarah are going to be redoing the speaking track. So I'm not too worried about them being able to do the whole certification thing, and they're not too stressed about that either. So I am going to take the 19th. Everybody gets 15 minutes, and you can sign up for a slot. It's very simple: 9 to 9:15, 9:15 to 9:30, 9:30 to 9:45, 9:45 to 10. And in that exit interview, I'm just going to scooch down that speaking checklist, but it's mostly, how has this experience been for you, and how are you feeling about moving forward? What's your plans for moving forward? What's your next step with speaking? And what's the next thing you want to get trained on? Remember, we do the speaking, and then we do speaking plus, which is you want to speak, then you want to have something that you're adding on to. So Relene and Katrina are definitely going to be doing DTLA, but I want to know what their thoughts are as far as their specific things they want to use the speaking on for this next step. So for Jerusha and Diane, it's going to be more of, well, do I want to write a book? Do I want to do my course? Do I want to do my coaching? Do I want to do my podcast? Like, what is this thing that you feel like I'm going to match this with my speaking so that I can speak to send people to this thing? Okay. Does that make it clear? All right. So you can sign up for your appointment. And if you want to put it on the WhatsApp, I'll put a little note on there that says, okay, sign up for your speaking times. And if you want to just text it ahead of time, that's fine. You can just jump in and say, hey, I want to do 9:15. I know that for sure. But I will post it on WhatsApp and say, okay, sign up for your time. All right. Yep. Exit interviews on the 19th. Okay. You are almost there. It's so exciting. And we are working on our webpage. So everybody who certifies gets their picture, their website, their bio, and their link, whatever, to whatever we can send them to you on your website. We get that on that speaking page. So you have your picture and then your website, and then you'll have your opt-in that they can go and click on the opt-in. So that's darn exciting.
You need, like, Connie, you need like a little, like, icon or something that we can use, like a little picture, like certified through disciple thought leader, like something that I can take and like put
You need a
on.
logo.
I would love that, like to be, because it's, you know, I like saying like, yeah, I'm gonna be a certified speaker. Like I want like a little thing that
A
says
little
that I can
logo
put
that goes
up.
on the seal.
Yeah,
that
a little
stands
logo.
on there.
Actually, I think when Wendy Jones and all those guys certified, I think Lemire actually did. We do a certificate, you get a certificate and a little something in the mail. And then I think we did, didn't we, Jerusha? We did a little logo that said a DTL certified speaker.
Yeah, I saw like,
And then at the bottom, it says,
really.
I think it says
It was
DTL
something like
certified
that,
speaker,
yeah.
and then it says with Connie Sokol or something like that. So it has the connection to Connie. I'll make sure though. Let me, Jerusha, can you just make sure? Can you check with Lemira? That would be awesome. All right, my darlings, I'm so excited. So send me those things this week. I'm super excited. I'm gonna get totally fire hose and I love it. All right, have a fabulous week. I love you ladies. Mwah.